Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the 5 greatest Wagner Sopranos. Oh, this is going to be so much fun because the Wagner people are even crazy by the standards of opera people. I mean, generally speaking. And the Soprano Wars. Oh, the Soprano Wars. I'll be so interested to see what happens here. There'll be so many fabulous comments I'll get to delete. I mean, one of the nice things about doing the nut job topics is that they invariably come out of the woodwork. I mean, and each time, more of them creep out from whatever hidey hole they've been festering in. And I get to ban them forever. So it just cleans up the universe as we do these lists. It really does. It's very helpful. So Wagner Sopranos, I expect to be quite fruitful in that regard, but who knows? Actually, I don't think there's a lot of controversy in this particular list of 5, and only 5, folks. No honorable mentions, no this or that, just 5 maximum. And I've chosen singers who've done recordings, full recordings of operas, not just an aria here or an excerpt there. I know that there were golden age singers, from before the LP era, who made fabulous Wagner recordings, and they're wonderful singers. But I try to do singers that we can all hear, that are presented in context. I just think it's better that way. Anyway, but if you have your golden age creaky singers from the days of the acoustical horn, you could put them in your list of 5 as long as there's a recording we can all hear. So the 5 greatest Wagner sopranos are: first, Régine Crespin. I think she was marvelous. I mean, she sang Sieglinde. She was the Sieglinde to end all Sieglindes. And Brunhilde for Karajan. And she made her Bayreuth debut as Kundry in Parsifal in the early 60s. She was unbelievably versatile. Her German was excellent, absolutely fine, perfect. And she demonstrated as a singer with great warmth and humanity and intelligence that, as Ned Rorem said, Wagner really was French. Of course he was. And Régine Crespin proves it time and time again. Oh, she's just marvelous. Next, Hildegard Behrens. Hildegard Behrens was the very model of the modern Wagnerian Kunstdiva. She didn't really have the voice. She was not huge of voice, but she was smart of voice. It's funny because you listen to her recordings and you don't always think that it's like the most lovely thing you've ever heard, but then you go back to them and they're satisfying somehow. And if she could do Tristan and Isolde for Bernstein at those tempos, with the flu on top of it all, she could do anything. Let's face it. She's the Brunhilde in the Levine Ring and other people's rings. She sang all the hard-hitting roles. She's Senta for Dochnani. She did major stuff, and she did it admirably. She just didn't quite have the big foghorn voice. And so, but still, a phenomenal singer, absolutely phenomenal singer, at a time when we needed her because there weren't other voices that were suitable for those roles. So Behrens is definitely up there in the modern pantheon of Wagner sopranos. Now, the next 3 are all familiar quantities, and but we have to include them in any list of 5. There's a reason they're there. First, Kirsten Flagstad, the great Norwegian soprano who, of course, did Isolde without the 2 high Cs, which Elisabeth Schwarzkopf supplied in the Furtwängler studio recording of Tristan and Isolde. But she did a lot of other things as well. She was a phenomenal Wagner singer. Everybody agrees. The only negative you hear about her is that she had a certain matronly is the word quality to her singing sometimes. But I mean, when she was younger, it was less of an issue. And as she got older, she managed to do Fricka for Schulte and the Schulte Ring and all that, as a sort of farewell recording. A wonderful, wonderful singer. So she's definitely on any short list. Astrid Varnay. I love Astrid Varnay. She did not get to make as many records as she should have. that her talent and gifts really warranted. She was a brilliantly intelligent singer, and she had the voice, and she sang until, I mean, when she's doing Begbik and Mahogany at the Met when she was like in her 80s or something, she sang till her dying breath. She was a pro all the way from soup to nuts. And fortunately, she is the Brunhilde in the fabulous, there it is here, Heilberth ring. There it is in stereo and all that stuff. Yeah, so we get to hear her and her Ortrud, and she did Senta, and she did all the big roles, really, and fabulously well, really fabulously well. Her main sort of prime was in the 1950s and the first few years of the 1960s. And that's when, unfortunately, we should have had, studio recordings. But, she had a fight with Karajan, and he sort of banned her, and she had some issues. But fortunately, there is enough of her on disc to show us just how fantastic she was. She was also the most amazing Kostelnichka in Janacek's Yanufa, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about Wagner. So there is Varnay, and last but not least, of course, Birgit Nilsson. I mean, you just have to have Birgit Nilsson. Birgit Nilsson was Birgit Nilsson. She was the most amazing. First of all, she had perfect pitch and, the most amazing voice of the 20th century, probably. I mean, it was just dead on accurate and big, and she could do all this stuff, and she did it supremely well. And we are all the more fortunate for the fact that she did it at the dawn of the stereo age, when the technology existed to capture her art, and also, even more significantly, the record labels had the money to do complete recordings of all of this stuff. I mean, otherwise, where would we be? I mean, we have her in the Böhm ring, we have her in the Schulte ring, we have her in the Ringy ring. She's the one. And those are the 5 greatest Wagner Sopranos. And if anybody has any other choices, feel free to supply them. And, we'll see how much of the wackiness also comes through. I love it when the opera people start talking about, well, she had a fuzzy B flat above the stave, and her high C wasn't what it should have been, and her mid-range break was broken, and we get all this crap, especially from the supposed voice experts. It's such fun to read and even more fun to delete, so I'm looking forward to it. Keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.